Hello, hello. Ah! We have a gap. We have a gap. Let me fix that real quick. It's gonna bug me. Better. Not. Oh, it's my monitor. Also my monitor. Shifted stuff around, and I'm still haven't quite recovered, clearly. How's it going, everybody? We took a break last week. I took some vacation, which was nice. We're back into it. Um, Today I want to dig into something that we've been experiencing with one of the apps that we worked on for a few weeks now. We looked at the dev tools from Crab Nebula a few weeks ago now, and I suspect I'll probably end up pulling those in to look into this. What we were looking at in our Stream To Do app, we made an app where we can make it sits in the system tray and we can add to-do items to it. And we were saving that state to the file system. But the reads, and maybe this is just a dev thing, but the reads seemed inconsistent. Um, so you'd refresh, or if you delete too quick, it doesn't seem to like hold that or holds that state longer than expected. Um, so I kind of want to deal with that, and potentially grouped into this understanding what's happening there is we are both um, I'll call it in the app mount, we are firing off a few of the Tauri APIs and establishing the handle that we can use within the app. I think I want to split that out to where the Tauri APIs that only need to happen once, so adding menu items or something like that, that happens outside of this like app mount cycle. And in the app mount cycle, we establish a handle to that um, uh, starting of the Tory API. So sort of like shifting things to happen a little bit earlier and splitting out the expectations. I'm fuzzy. Oh my goodness. What is we're not having much luck today, are we? I'm going to also fix that. So the interesting. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Bump this up just a little. Ooh, way too bright. Way too bright. Too much. Too much. Why was that? I don't know if y'all can see this, but it's just gonna bug me. um, there, that helps a little bit. Now I can get rid of that little circle. I didn't move my lamp. I think that was the bulk of it. Oh no, maybe not. Wow, what is, friends? Is it gonna be one of those days? Is it gonna be one of those days? Um, Why is this so... There, that looks a lot better. But this is still... It's probably going to be bad in the display. All right, well, let's pop over here. Yep. It's not too bad. What is this? It appears to be one of those days. Um, it certainly appears to be one of those days. All right. That's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna do this. Okay. Good enough. All right. So we want to see if we can fix our to-do app, which is a bit ironic because to-do app is also what we were going to use on stream to talk about the things that we're going to do. Um, so without this thing working, we we have like a cyclical thing going on here. We got like an in progress update too. Yeah. Okay, I think that was from one of our previous streams. What I'm actually going to do is let's go to the site, the docs, and I don't want to create Tauri app. Prereq. Windows Rust. Here, this is what I want to do. Yeah, that's probably it. That's probably the thing I want to do. I'll use the cargo crate to do the upgrade, so I don't have to worry about my installation of npm, or rather, my installation of the package. Failed to compile. Hmm. Need a newer version of Rust. Hmm. That's not. That's not great. Because we were already on. Didn't say did it. Rust version 1.8 is the latest, or 1.80 is the latest, rather. I thought we were in like 176, which isn't too old. So we try to keep the requirements for the Rust version lower unless there's a specific need to update or upgrade, um, just for compatibility reasons. Okay, that's going to take a minute. We'll run the migrate. We'll get this onto RC, and then I think I want to start digging into the issues here. And as part of that, our setup tray will be fine. It's this hooks. I've got this hooks set up with the expectation that we are oh, I'm not using that there at all. Home app here. I have this hook set up. This is both running and like, I don't know if mount is the right word, but I can't think of a better word. We're basically like mounting those Tauri APIs and grabbing the handler to it. And part of that was the they were tied together. Those APIs were tied together. But I think the expectation or the ability to establish a handler is it's still sort of the same API, but there's more guardrails around it. So I think we can we'll be better able to split it out, I think. And it's something that we've kind of talked about for a couple weeks here now, though, but we have not gotten to dealing with it. So run the migrate. This should get us to I can see the title updating up here. um, okay, that's gonna bug me. We'll just do a restart real quick. We have new versions of Rust or of our Rust crates, so we're gonna get a new rebuild through Rust Analyzer. Our packages should be updated. That's curious. Those updated though. Oh, plugins. Okay, plugin, positioner. Okay, so those are some of the plugins. So those might still be considered beta. Or those still might be fine to be on beta versions. Is the let's double check this one. I feel like that should be in an RC though. Yeah. Weird. I wonder if it's something to do with the fact that he had existing changes. Or otherwise, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to try an MPX. There we go. Yeah. I'm going to call it Tauri apps at next. Whoop. CLI at next. And we'll call that. I thought that cargo script would actually run everything, but I'm wondering if perhaps not. Huh. All right. Well, so RC3, and nice. We're now publishing with provenance. If you're unaware what that is, that would be. Oh, we don't see it here. We have to click over the version. It is published in a way which it is building and signing in the GitHub action and attaching that to the npm registry. Which, I mean, function. It's a good thing. There's there's upside to it, but it's like functionally it's not going to make that big of a difference. The benefit is that you just have um, a more defined path to how this thing was generated, or a more transparent path, hopefully. Okay. I guess this is going to be the way we got to go. So we'll say this is going to be RC3. Um, and we can't use that either. Plugin. Let's see what plugins we have to look at. Shortcut. This has an RC0. Notification. Notification as an RC0. Plugin store. I'm guessing most of these are going to be an RC0. RC0. And positioner. RC0. React is fine with that version. And then this should be RC7. We don't really need to bump the other versions of stuff. In cargo, we should have an RC for everything here. Plugin positioner should expect that to be updated. We should be able to say, let's go into here. We should be able to make all of these RC like this. I'm going to just switch this to RC and see if he yells at us. It's going to be the easiest way. And RC0 or RC. So by saying RC, it should just take the latest version of the RC. And we can do source story, cargo upgrade. Let's just get excuse me. Let's just get the latest version of stuff. And that reminds me. The go look at GitHub, and we go look at the let's look at some of the stuff that we've been working on lately. Plugin workspace. Here we go. Personal. Where to go now? Here, personal tray app. This is what we want to look at. I wish there's something else you could click in here to like go to it. I don't want to go to the issue. I just want to go to the main repo. I think it probably makes sense to add renovate in here, so that keeping this up to date will be easier. Yeah. All right. I wanted to make sure that we didn't have any any things that were open there. All right. So this is still updating. Impressive. Okay, let us look at what we're doing with. Actually, DevTools first. Should we put that in there? I guess this just finished. Updating. I mean, that shouldn't matter too much. Okay. That should give us the latest of everything, which I'm fine with. We'll do DevTools, but actually, I want to double check. I want to just see if upgrading has changed anything. See if we still get that same issue. And what we're doing is we are actually every time it mounts, we're basically checking to make sure that it has that this like we're initializing it. Maybe that should be the word I should be using instead of mounting. We initialize it and then keep this handler around, or we keep the handle to it round by passing it to set store, save it in state, and then now we have a handle to it throughout our app via React context. I don't know why this upgrade takes so dang long. Like I ran it once already. Feels like it should go faster. Whatever. So I think we can split this up a little bit. And I think what I want to do, instead of having a hooks that we dump in the app here, instead I want to add something here. So we do. Oh, went too far up. Stream to npm run Tauri dev. Probably turn strict mode back on, but I want to fire off this hook basically like right here instead. So prior to rendering, initialize a bunch of things. And then I guess we have an app here. I could pass it. That might actually be the ticket. None of these are. Actually, I have some state in that hook, so I might need to pull some of these pieces out. But the okay, I thought I wasn't gonna load. So now you can see we do a refresh, they come back, and if we delete them all really quickly and do a refresh, they come back. So like, what's happening with that? Like that save process doesn't seem to be. Something seems off with that. Something feels off with that. Okay. But first we need to make that go away. Where is Tauri configuration? Visible. Go away. Revert. Why aren't you? All right, let's go here. Visible, false. Center, false. Okay, we run that. Let's see if we can pull some of this out now. So all of these are set up in a way where we can run them and just get a return. None of these in the app API are any way tied to a specific JavaScript framework. And that's intentional because um, when we created the system tray app template, we set it up in a way where the first integration is with React, but we established things to where we could add a whole bunch of other frameworks and still use that same like base. So this hooks was the only thing that was actually React specific, and it has the use state for those three pieces. But in reality, I don't think I need to. I don't think I need to do those. I think what I'm going to do is we'll copy this, paste. Let's make this an index. And we'll call it init instead. We don't need any of the rack stuff, so let's just take that out so we don't accidentally include it anywhere. And we're here, I mean, we've got two use effects, which is not. It's not great. I think we could probably just get rid of all of these. There's no set tray. This is an async function, so we will need to deal with that. And that's. I don't know that there's a choice not to have this function or all of this for APIs be async, which makes it a little bit more difficult to deal with because we can't just dump it right above the render. We would need to wait. So, I mean, we have like top level await now, don't we? I suppose in theory we could do that. So if we do export function, so if we do export async function, we're going to set up the tray. Excuse me. Hopefully we don't have too much of that. Set up, add some items, establish the store, set an item if it doesn't yet exist. Menu items, fine. I'm not going to deal with notifications yet. So we're just going to comment that out for right now. Let's do this. So now we should have a tray and I just call it store. I think I just say store. So now if we go here, let's see if this top level await works. Await. Tray and store equals init Tauri. And that would be in our app API. It is exported init Tauri. From app API index. Let's do this. So now this should be, what do we call that? This would be the I guess we say just APIs. Tray store. And in our app TS, we can say, see, this has got tray, notifications, and store. So we could actually say here, Tauri APIs and Tauri APIs. And I'm going to just call that an any type for right now to not have to deal with that. Go from there. And also, it's not going to matter too much, I don't think. But we then have to set up our menu items here because this is going to go into our init Tauri actually. Oh, interesting. Make that a TSX. Okay. And this needs to be in await. And this needs to be imported. Ooh, what did I grab? All right. So we've got some things reloaded. You can see already we have a bunch of handles. Now they're gone away. Speaking of going away, go away teams. I don't need you. It just starts itself every time it teams. And there's like multiple of them. It's all right. Failed to load URL main JSX. That is certainly an issue. Define config. Where is that configured to? Here we go. All right, let's try it again just to make sure we get a fresh slate going. So no app icon there. Ooh, ooh. Did it not like me clicking on it so much? Just close some of that stuff. I don't want to dox myself. All right, so that opened up. It's personal tray app. Ah, the tray position issue. Yep, okay. We might need to deal with that now. Because we're calling, we are calling a when we left click, we're going to position tray center. We almost need like a on first. Okay. Well, we're gonna do it for right now. I don't know if this will matter. going to make it visible when it first starts. And in making it visible at start, we will then, after we've set up the tray and we've done all of this, you know what? Let's not even bother with it. Because part of me wonders if we should deal with this upstream. That's definitely an option. I did see it open up on the side here, and we are supposedly getting there. And we're still getting this IPC custom protocol failed. Is it? Response headers. Move window. Do we not have the permission for it? Is that part of our issue? If we look at the capabilities and permissions, we should have a. Okay, so these did migrate. And core window. What are we failing? We're failing on move window. I don't see a. Plugin positioner. Oh, plugin. So there's a positioner plugin. Move window. So we've got the default right now. Let's look at the docs for it, which we happen to have up still. Except it doesn't happen to say anything about permissions there. So we then need to look at this. Oh, is there not a default? Allow move window. That might have been part of our problem. Let's give that a shot. All right, we're just gonna do a fresh start. So now, anytime we change anything, this piece isn't gonna like rerun. It's just this React DOM render that will continue to rerun. So it has appeared to start in the corner of my screen. I don't know why it is white though. I mean, it might be something with this. Me having switched it to TSX. Okay, so it still doesn't seem to like that. We might need to deal with this in a clearer, more direct way. Center true. Okay, now I can see it. Yeah, for some reason it's not rendering at all. And it could again very well be that I've got a main TSX. It's nice to have that TypeScript definition there. Let's look at the Vite docs real quick. Vite TypeScript. I mean, first of all, we need to. Can we make it go away? There we go. I might have just crashed it actually, but Let's look at the Vite docs directly, and do they have a so we should have a let's see. I don't really need to use CJS for any specific reason. Hmm. I don't see anything specific about TypeScript anywhere. TypeScript features. TypeScript? Okay. Type check. I don't need type checking. That's fine. All right. TypeScript compiler options. Um. All right. Let's do a create Vite app. And if we look at that, that's in. Oh, great. They've linked directly to it. That is handy. If we look at the TypeScript default app, they've got a TS config. Oh, they actually have two TS configs. Interesting. And they have a main TSX. Okay. And if we look at the public, oh, index. All right, so they do that and have it as type module source main TSX. Okay. So that shouldn't, I'm presuming it should not be an issue. I don't know if it's going to matter that we need to then, okay, so that is still marked as a type module. So that should be an ESM package. And if we go look at our Vite config, all of our config appears to be just fine. And we've got a tsconfig node. Compiler options. I mean, we could probably grab this. So we've got a tsconfig node and a tsconfig app. Do we also have that set up here? No, it doesn't appear. It doesn't appear to be the situation. tsconfig.app.json. I don't know how much this is actually going to make a difference. Okay. All right. Let's try. Let's try restarting. See what happens. Our tsconfig here is fine. We're not that far behind in TypeScript, so I'd be surprised that that is causing us any issues. Um, there is a TypeScript ESLint though. It's almost like dev. All right, let's. I think we'll visit it in localhost 2 and see what we're seeing as far as an issue here. 5173. Let's try that out. Okay, so we are getting an error in. Why don't we see that here though? I don't have a filter on, do I? Hmm. If I refresh that. Interesting. Crimson Inspector, thanks for stopping by. When do you think V2 will be fully released? It's close. Um, it's in the RC phase, which means in theory things should be stable unless there's like a stable as in like the APIs aren't going to change. And the only time that they might change is if there's some specific security thing that happens to come up that then requires that change. Um, so like the API should be stable, and I think most of the things that came up in the security audit and all of those pieces have been resolved. I think we're getting to the point where it's just going to be docs. I think we're less blocked on code and we're more blocked on filling the docs more. Which has been something that we've been saying for a couple months that that's going to end up being the bottleneck in reality. Um, on the plus side, that means that in theory you could use V2 RC and the migration to the stable version will be less painful. If the changes from the end of the RC phase to stable is mostly just docs at this point, there shouldn't really be much that needs to change in an upgrade. But still, that the fact that it's marked stable is definitely it's a confidence thing as well. So I get it. I don't know that there's a specific timeline. I'm hoping soon, probably more measured on weeks, at least ideally weeks. Um, that I mean, obviously you can go into double digits on weeks though too. So, but in reality, I'm not gonna make any promises. It should be soon, and it's gonna be dependent on how fast folks can work through docs. Um, I'm hoping to put a little bit of my own attention at the docs as well to help that along. And if you are in a position to do that as well, it's always going to be appreciated. It's a great way to contribute and help out is going through the docs because writing docs from the perspective of the user is not easy. It is a whole separate skill set. Hi, Kitty. Man, I really got that green screen outline today, don't I? I don't know if I can even if it's even bother fix or if it's even worth fixing today. It's one of those days, I swear. Um. Oh, hi. Okay, you're pumping my elbow. If I go maybe like this. Yes, I'm pretty sure we all hear you. Hmm. I don't know. Ugh, gosh. Okay, you're gonna knock my phone off. Kitty. All right, good enough. She's rubs her face on my elbow and it makes it impossible to click. All right, so we're getting a cannot read properties of undefined. Reading transform callback. All right, let us. Um, it's really annoying that I can't do this. And also, we're still getting. Why are we still getting? Hmm. We should only be seeing the one app amount. We've got APIs. We're initializing it here, and we shouldn't be using this setup TS anywhere. I'm gonna actually delete that for the moment. Or, I mean, moment is sort of relative. It's going away. And I've removed it here, so we shouldn't be seeing it. Where's our app? Okay, crashed. Crashed is where it is. um, it's weird that we're not seeing the any errors here, and it's just like not loading. So if I turn this off and I do a refresh, are we even getting like a mount? Tray is not defined. Okay, fair. Const. Um, tray. Store. All right, are you gonna be okay with that? I just want you to like load to make sure that this is working. Um, yeah, because it seems like the app's not even loading. Um, return div hi. Okay, so it's loading. Do we have some issue with our providers? Okay. So if store, okay, so if there's no store, then we set it as null. Interesting. That's probably what's happening, honestly. Because we are doing an await. We're doing in store. So we should have a handle to the store right away, and we should be able to pass that in. And this should be defined. If I log this out, console.log, no, oop, 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 buttons are hard. Log Tauri APIs. Yeah. Got it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. That's fine. I'm actually just switch it to this. I don't know if I like APIs. Ooh, ugh. Okay, we're gonna switch to this. We're gonna do this and this. There. All right. Okay, so now every time we refresh, we shouldn't get a new handle here. We're still getting a new handle. What the heck? We should also have this store established. So we shouldn't need to do that extra check. I am going to grab this and we're gonna say we're gonna call this Tauri APIs, and we are going to pull this into a separate type. Put it here. We'll say interface Tauri APIs. And we should never have those null. And if we export that, and do you mean to write promise? Yes, it would be a promise because we're gonna need to await that. All right. So now, oh, let's check our context. Let's close all this stuff. We're too much stuff. We need to take this, and our context should be coming from here now. Do a type import. Um, well, that's kind of frustrating. The tray and store are initialized as null. So I see why I did that. We will always have it defined now, because by the time we mount the app, those Tauri APIs should have run. Um, property Tauri API. Oh. Okay. So how do we deal with this? First of all, can you go away? I guess I'm fine crashing you. We want to I guess I'd just say that could be null. I don't love it, but it'll be fine. Okay, so we've got a tray in a store and notifications we still need to deal with. All right, I think we're at the point where we can at least start debugging what the issue is. So, come on up. Come say hi. Come on. Come say hi. Yes. I'd prefer you sit on my lap and participate rather than look at my green screen. So you can see that like this is the thing that would be nice to understand what's happening. Why is this continuing to load this full list even though in the previous refresh we deleted it? Every time we do a refresh on there, are we getting a new? So we're still getting that. So there's still an issue with our notifications store setup tray. So I thought that if we established, if we did an await initory here, I thought this wasn't run every time. Here, this would be a good check. Mount. Yeah, sure. We'll call mount. I don't know if that's. Hmm. I guess it is. I thought we tested this last time and that this didn't actually remount every time. Because it definitely is still rerunning every time. At the very least, when we will still need, like, you shouldn't be able to refresh once we like push production version of this. But also in dev, this is annoying. So even having moved this out to the main TSX, we're still getting that hot module reloading on that file. So in theory, we could do, we're setting up a tray here. This is like initial startup, right? The tray is in some ways a little bit of a separate piece from something like the store. So the store is setting up a handle. Um, we have setup notification. We have setup shortcut and setup tray. Tray creates a new tray icon. So if we have an is it worth splitting these up? Is kind of what I'm surmising. If we have an init.ts, let's kill this again. We're moving stuff around anyways. This will be an init, and we could run this function. So setup tray, setup menu items, setup global shortcuts, the notifications might be a different issue, and we're not going to have a return. So this right here is primarily just to make sure that the tab is um, like that store is good to go. So if we do something like this and we say don't return, we'll take this interface off. We will yeah, I think we deal with notifications separately. And then we call an init Tauri here. And in this, how do we pass menu items? I guess we move the menu items over there. I'm gonna just put them at the top here. All right, so menu items. Now, if we run the init, and this will, when we import this file, it will run it immediately. If we put this into our index.html, we say script module source app API slash init .ts. That should then establish these APIs. Const tray equals this. Const store equals this. All right. Now, when I'm hoping, or at least the intent is now that when, and again, this might be less of a production thing, and it might only make a difference dev. But we're trying to get it to where we only have a single icon, even if we refresh this. Like I never want. Okay, we. Oh yeah, okay. Type checking. So it's rendering now, and it's rendering null. I think because there might be a check downstream, but now every time we refresh, we're still getting another one. So it must be hot module reloading the. It must be hot module reloading the index. But we tested it before. Why wasn't it doing that before? It's possible that there was some change that happened in TypeScript somewhere, or not TypeScript, in Beat maybe. Um, and we had since upgraded. All right. I do prefer, I think, having this one index and putting it here. If we're gonna have to deal with it regardless, I think I prefer this. Oh, I'm gonna have to do an undo, bunch of undos. Good, still there. And we're gonna have to change this. That. Okay. So I guess if we don't have much control over that, can we deal with it here? We do an await tray icon. Set menu new. So there is an options. Let's look at the menu. Let's look at the docs for the menu and have itched my eye. immediately regret that because now it is itchy because cat allergies. Oh no. Um, Not fun. Not fun. The rest of the stream is like a pirate. How annoying will it be if I talk like a pirate for the rest of the time? Menu. If we look here and menu and ah, it hurts. So if we do, where's the new? Check menu item. Check menu item. Ah, here, new. A check menu item inside. Oh, no, that's not what I really want. I just want a normal menu item. It would be an icon. Ah, there's a section for each. Okay, that makes sense. Hi. Yes. Is there? We want to do a tray icon. Hmm. Just menu. Menu. There's lots of menus. I guess that makes sense. Uh. Um. So there's I think icon menu item is the one that we actually care about. Check menu item, menu. Menu has a get and an append, close. Set as window menu. Where's the new for this one? Um, New icon menu item. If you look at the source for this, icon menu item options. Okay, so we can pass in the icon. That is the only thing that we're able to configure for that. So is there any way to is enabled? Okay. I'm wondering if there's a way to know if the menu exists already. And we don't have any guides on this. Right? The system tray is definitely something that I'm interested in further documenting, but okay, so new tray icon. So there's a resource ID and then the ID associated with it. So if we do okay, we have an ID. Okay. We want it to no op. That's the big deal here is if it exists, is there a way to prevent it from making a new one? Okay, so we can do a get. Get a tray icon using the provided ID. Get by ID gets a tray icon. Let's try that actually. Dot new. So if we do an const existing equals wait tray icon dot get by ID. Okay, so there's an ID, get by ID, and we can pass the ID. This is good because we can use that as a check. So if it exists, we will then have a handle to it already. We might need to then do something different about those actions though. Set title tooltip menu. I wonder if that is, has this changed? So if we look at the tray icon, so there's a get by ID new. What is new? What does this take? New tray icon. Let's take a look at that. New. Oh, there was definitely an. Okay. Every time we fire this, I like if this fires, I think we want to then. I think we just kill the previous one because we want to like reestablish the action. So if existing, then existing dot close, and that's a promise. So if we await that, that would then give us a new one here, and we can reestablish it with the exact same ID and our updated action. Let's try that. So we don't have any icon right there. Oh, okay. Okay, we've got this blank one. I'm assuming that's something that I've created because it goes away when we close this. So now every time we refresh this, we are still getting a new one. Get by ID. Let us, let's log. Found existing closing. Existing dot, guess we'll say the resource ID. I think the resource ID changes every time. It says it every. So the ID does change. We are getting one every time. Interesting. Are we Tory configuration? Let's check that. Is there an accept first move, closable, height visible label? I don't remember if there's anything as far as window effects. Color effects state. Okay. don't think that's it. Except first mouse. Hmm. There's nothing in here that seems to imply that we've got a system tray icon happening. Bundle. Tray icon. No. Maybe it is setting a default tray icon. If we want to have more direct control over that, let's see what happens. We set that to null. So it is definitely doing, it is still creating it. I don't see why. We're still getting the store. So the store is still like sticking around somehow. So we've we've basically solved nothing at this point. We are getting found existing, closing. So when we call close, we can set a menu on it. So if we get if click, okay, so that's like the click listener. I do think it makes sense to recreate or do a new one if there's an existing one. But it's interesting that even after calling close, it doesn't seem to be like getting rid of it, which feels odd. All right. Let us just straight up go like this. So we'll close this. I want to make sure that we're not getting anything tray related if we're not specifically specifying. Because like we're still getting something here. Why is that? So connected. Okay, we're not. We are still getting something there. Let's deal with that first. And like that could very well be a dev artifact. I don't know offhand. Configuration is what I want to look at, right? Configuration. We can look at the guess it's probably in the app. App, app config, configuration for app tray icon. So we have a tray icon called main already. If we do tray icon config ID, it does take false or null. What did we set it? Null. Um, so if we say main, I don't know what else it needs. Missing property icon path. And we do deal with some of that in here. Menu items tray, setup tray. We call set icon here. I don't think it's actually going to hurt if we put it here as well. And I'm going to switch these both to main because that is technically the default. And I'm wondering if we're getting a weird default icon there. So if we go with main, like what ends up happening? All right, so we still have it there, and it does actually interact with clicks, which is weird. If I click on this one though, what happens here? So it still says it's found existing. This one operates as expected. Oh, not yet implemented. Oh, I think I double clicked. So that might just be a dev artifact. I think that's what we're going to qualify it as. Um, let's try just turning all this off. Let's see if we get. I want to see if this configuration is going to be enough to give us okay, it does appear to. Give it a second to load. Might not actually load because I'm not setting. Yeah, menu is not defined. Okay. Let's see. We await tray, and then we do a menu new. Okay. So technically, I just need to establish a menu. I don't actually have to care about anything with it. Let's restart just to be certain. And it's still creating that second one, which feels odd. I feel like something's going on there. Because I can still interact with it. It could very well be something with the positioner plugin too. Let us. If we don't have it initialized, any invokes should just fail. I don't think they'll actually like fail the whole. Like I think we'll still be able to get an app startup if we turn it off. Let's just try running it without the positioner plugin. See if that makes a difference as far as which icons show up. So now we just have shortcut, store, and notification. Oh, actually, I need to adjust the setup as well. Yep. Let's take that off. Okay, unused import is fine. Don't have any icons yet. So it is the positioner plugin that's doing that. So that's doing a interesting. What's happening is we are in the setup calling a tray icon builder new. And then attaching the event listener to it. So the problem is that that is also starting up and adding its own item, which is not great. So I guess that being said, though, if we go to no, not worried about this or this. In our setup tray, if we turn this back on to get rid of anything existing, what does that look like? Does it fire is probably my main question. Okay. It fires and it is actually removing the existing one. So if I do a refresh, it's not firing anymore. So if I go into here and say null, yeah, like this if I call new again, it's going to create a new one with the exact same ID. Can I specify a resource ID as well? Icon, menu, title, tooltip. Menu on left click and menu. Okay, so the I think we want to say null here. I think this is going to give us a little bit better control over it. It's already, this line was what was removing it, so we shouldn't get an existing one at all. So now every time we refresh, we are getting a new menu item. There. So if I unhide these, now every time we refresh, we should get a new one with the icon. So we're setting a new one with the icon. But in here, it does say on existing closing, but it doesn't actually seem to be closing it. So that could very well be a bug. Because we don't actually have the setup for creating a new one turned on either. Where is that? Main RS. Yeah, so we don't have this. So that could very well be a bug. Um, can we, let's see, await existing close. I'm going to just straight away, if there is one existing, don't create a new one. Curious what's going to happen. We can just continue to refresh. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hmm. Is that a wait tree icon? So if I refresh, okay, it's still creating a new one though. That is weird. Plugin positioner. I mean, fair. Um, I kind of think we happened on a bug here. It doesn't seem to actually be closing or cleaning up that resource, which is part of the reason that it constantly is opening them. I think is what's happening. We don't need to look at the configuration. Let's look at menu API menu. I wish you could collapse these sections. That would be nice. Interfaces. So there's an ID, the text of the menu item. Um, Platforms, remove a menu item from the submenu. Oh, that's not terribly clear. Um, remove. Remove a menu item. Here's append, set close. Destroys and cleans up this resource from memory. So every so icon menu item has a closed, is enabled. So we can set enabled, sets whether this icon menu item is that is promise. So if we disable it, will it do anything? Um, await existing set. Let's see. Oh, you can set visibility too. Hmm. Set visible though is not tray icon. Okay. Oh, that's a menu item. Icon menu item. So set visible false. So we've got a tray icon. Which is actually here. So we've got a tray icon. There's a close, set icon, set title, set. Yeah, okay. So here's the set visible. So this, we're calling this returns a tray icon. Removes a tray icon using the provided ID. Yeah. Removes, so this may cause the tray icon to disappear if it wasn't cloned somewhere else, or which is what we would want, right? Um, so if we get it, then we know it's there. We should be able to then get rid of it, right? Set icon, set menu. Okay, let's try it. Let's see what happens with the set visible. It's just weird that like, and so this is what I was talking about before when we first started. There's the function that initializes the API, and then it gives you a handle to it. In a bunch of these cases, though, it less so now, but it used to be that if you to get a handle to it, you had to then attempt to initialize it first. In which case, you could potentially be initializing multiple. So you had to be like, you had to kind of like program around it. Okay, so we're not getting any right now. One. Every time we refresh, it goes away. That is actually though what we want, because it's hitting this, so it removes it. Interesting. So if we set it visible, if we set the visibility state first, then it seems to be enough to like release it. Otherwise, it, at least on Windows, it seems to stick around. There we go. If we adjust the visibility state first, then it seems to release the icon and item. Otherwise, it never closes or disappears. I think that I think that makes sense. Okay, so I think I feel pretty good about that. So now what we're doing is, I mean, it's a little bit hacky. We're just dealing with it here because there's not a better way to do it there, and the I mean, having it outside of this feels fine, but I still would be able to like to think about the handle and the setup separately. So this is establishing a base store and setting up the global shortcuts. This seems fine in my mind. I think this is as well. We'll have to come back to notifications again. We are then passing down the Tauri APIs here. Okay, so then this next thing is this. Like, why? If I go in and delete all these and then refresh, they come back. Why? Um, I think the thing I want to do. What time are we on? We're almost at 2 hours. I think I want to throw in the dev tools real quick. Um, the Crab Nebula dev tools. We can throw them in here. Hmm. We might need to play around with how that's set up a little bit, but okay. You need to go again. This positioner plugin to the event listener. We might also need to think about that a little bit, but all right, we're establishing a builder. If debug assertions are on, then we add in the plugin. So then what we can do here is say we can do builder here, and then we just add in some more if for every case. This is required to get tray relative positions to work. We're gonna have to come back to this positioner plugin. That might be something that we look at next week. To see if we could otherwise maybe adjust the APIs or work through that state issue. Okay, we do need to do this. I don't. Okay, we already added it in there. So if I go here and into source Tauri, I can just do a cargo add. We've already added it to the plugin list there. So now if we do npm run Tauri dev, this should start up the dev tools, in which case we can hit inspect here. And I think it'll say something in the terminal if it's started, if I recall correctly. Cannot find function in net. Interesting. Ah. Um, sorry, plugin dev tools. That appears to be correct. It's sort of So that doesn't have, it looks like the docs might be outdated here, which is unfortunate. Cargo, Tumble, and where did it add these? So it put them under, okay. So to install the DevTools as 0.1.0. We look at the crates, and we look at Tauri plugin DevTools. There's an RC. So we also need to do the same here. I'm not going to use the app for this one. I'm going to just use the DevTools so I can take that out. That should give us an updated one, and hopefully that works. It seems to be compiling. Now what I want to look at is every time we refresh or otherwise interact with those, yep, okay, so that's running. Now every time we, maybe the calls. Okay, focus and blur, those are all happening. Let's do a clear. I hit delete, plugin store set. And if I had to delete, then delete, tray get by ID set visible, resources, tray new. Okay, so we can see here we're hitting all those tray APIs again. We're basically just like recreating that tray every time. And we're doing a store.get, and it is looking for items. We're doing another store.get. So we've got a stream one. So we're calling it twice, which is a little bit odd. Why are we calling it twice? I think that's probably, we could probably just look at plugin. Store get. If we do a delete, that's calling store.set. Okay, so this is handy because every time we press delete, we're doing a store.set. So we can look at the value that's being set. In this last, in the first time we clicked it, we have an items, and there's an ID, and there's another ID. So there's two. And then if we look at the next one, there's still two. I think there's something weird happening with the ID. So I think we need to double check on that ID. And if we look at our logic for that, tabs, to-do list. So we're calling a set. So we can see a key. So that's the key right there. We're going to get tabs, get data dot stream one. And our key appears to be fine for the store.bin. But that value I wonder if this ID is doing some weird things. So we call a replace to create the ID. We're doing a replace. Can we do like a hash or something instead? Um, this would be in web. So if we look at like MDM hash string, like we're probably fine with just like a we probably don't need to go all cryptographic on it. So there's um yeah, like we could probably just do like a base 64. Base 64. So we just need to dedupe. Um so I thought these were deprecated. I'm guessing base 64 is probably going to be fine. But here there's a note. If we're gonna be in UTF-8, so we're probably gonna want to just deal with it in front. So we can go from base 64 to bytes, and then bytes to base 64. And see, that's going to then deal with these odd or otherwise like emojied versions of text. I'm gonna just throw it at the bottom of this file for now, I think. And then we can do this, and we are. I guess in reality we're not. Are we recalling it or otherwise attaching to it? Where's my ID? Set ID. Set here. So we want to encode this. That will give us a base 64 ID. Then we've got the decoder. Do we need to decode it? Let's search for ID. Okay, I need to close this. It's getting too hard to see. Handle selection change. So I've got some cases where you've got a if current set has item.id. Okay. So we're just referencing the ID. We don't actually need to like recall it. Tabs from store, items, filter. Okay. Oh. Key to okay. Oh. All right. I don't think we need to do anything special with actually decoding. We'll just leave it here for right now, though. If we need to decode, then bam. All right. Let's give this a shot. So if we go back to our dev tools and we do Load. There we go. Okay. So now, if we do a delete, let's just refresh this whole thing. Delete. We'll do a refresh. All right. So if we look at store set, what does our IDs look like? We do still have some old IDs. Here's the base 64 new ID. So now if I delete this one, I think I've got some odd logic in here. Because where's the... So the response then has... There's definitely some, I think some issue with logic here. Okay. So if we do hello 2 and add, we look at the set. All right, this seems fine. Let's do a close and restart because it seems to be sticky when we restart the app. Those always seem to come back. I think it was something with it appropriately saving. I'm wondering if it was something with the ID. Yeah, see, they're still here. They're still really sticky. Let me reset. Where did I put that now? Tray. Okay, we want to go into here. So let's reset before we... Interesting. Low into space. Not great. All right. Okay, I'll turn the reset off now, and we appear to be actually cleared. So I think it was something odd going on with the ID. Because that seems fine, and now when I do a refresh, that feels fine. And if I delete one, refresh, yeah, I think it was something funky with that ID. Like, especially if you got, like, maybe something with the parsing. I can, it's probably going to make sense for me to actually go back to the VOD and look at the content. But I wonder if I had, like, special characters or something in there, if I wasn't properly dealing with that in the ID. In which case, if we're using the store plugin and we set a value for the ID that has some special character like this, we should probably just throw an error. So there's going to be a class of errors where TypeScript is going to be useful and it's going to be helpful, but we can't presume when we're writing the library that everybody will be using TypeScript. So there's cases where like it's going to make sense just to check for undefined in the library because we can't assume somebody's going to be using TypeScript, that in which case it'll help them out. When is it worth it to use Tauri Fetch API for HTTP client written in Rust instead of native browser fetch? So maybe the first part to answering this is the difference between what I believe you're qualifying as the Tauri Fetch API is you can do API calls either through the web view directly, or you can do it through the Rust side of things. In theory, both would work fine. You're still sandboxed in the browser. There's still it's in theory less secure than the Rust side of things, but it's not any less secure than any other normal browser context, which is rather well understood at this point. So doing a fetch from the web view is not inherently an issue. I think the value to doing it through the Rust side of things is the Rust code is a little bit more. It's less tied to the front end, which is potentially less available to inspect, and um, there's in theory some like security benefits from that. I don't know that I would be dependent on any of that. I would say probably the biggest difference is that um, the controls you have behind the actual fetch are maybe um, closer to the metal, in which you have more direct control over it. But the functional reason to do one versus the other, I think, would be that if you fetch it in the Rust side of things, that data could then be made available to any of your windows. So if you've got multiple windows, you can then make that data available to every window. In as opposed to if you fetch it in a single window, you then need to somehow get it to other windows if you're using multiple windows. So I think functionally that probably is going to feel like the biggest difference. Um, I think I would probably be comfortable saying default to fetch your in the web view would probably be fine. Um, Most of the plugins are written to where Rust is the basis. So if you use a plugin to do WebSockets or use a plugin to do fetch, it's probably going to do it through Rust. And that's because we're writing it in a generic way. Generically, having that data available in the Rust side of things ends up being nicer, but it is potentially more work. Hopefully that does that answer the question? It's there's sort of trade-offs either way, but neither of them are terribly detrimental. All right, so I think we've got most of the stuff figured out here. Just making sure I don't have too much as far as work messages go. All right, cool. Also, thanks for stopping by, Yarek. Is it Yarek? Yarekuchi? Let me know if I'm pronouncing it right. I don't never mean to or never intend to be disrespectful, so I want to respectfully pronounce it correctly. Okay, so I think the dev tools actually ended up being pretty helpful here because we were able to see when we let's go ahead and do a refresh here. And when we refresh, we can see the store.get and we can see the responses here, which is handy because then we can know the exact content there. And what we were doing was that when we added an item, we could see the store set and value here. And then when we refreshed, we could see those values, or when we hit delete, we could see those values not reacting the same way, in which case we were able to deduce that it was potentially something with the ID and like an internal error or something that was happening that just wasn't being raised. And by base64 encoding the ID, just as a quick way to make sure that it's more safe for storage, it seems to have resolved all of our issues with it, which is pretty cool. So now we can add as many of these as we want, and then we can go in and check them off as we go, and we can delete them freely. Delete, 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 and then next time we load the app, it should be back to what we deleted. It does seem to be, if we do a delete and an immediate refresh, sometimes it seems to still stick around though. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I think it is like you're not going to be able to do the refresh once it's like a production app. So the fact that we're doing a hard refresh, I think we're basically just like before it has actually awaited and made sure that that value has been set. I think it gets refreshed. So I think that's what we're gonna call it today. I'm I feel pretty good that that was the issue here. It seems to be working as would expect now. And there, yeah, let's actually. I'm just curious if I reload again. When we move things around a little bit, that tray icon is still. I've see it came back. It came back. That is so weird. Um, so now if we close and restart it again, it's hard to tell if this is like a dev time thing or if this is a. Yeah, see, it like keeps coming back. We might have to actually like go in the file system. Let's actually try that real quick. I was about to say that I think we're done, but I'm guessing that there's a bin file in here somewhere. Build, no, bundle. I don't have any clue where it would be though. Resources. I mean, it could very well be in like one of these pieces. I think what I will do is try deleting the target directory off stream and just seeing if that makes a difference. This seems really sticky though, and it seems to be related to the ID. I don't have any. It must be something with it, like parsing. There's no special characters in this though, which is very confusing. One real quick thing we can check though is let's just make sure that there's nothing in the docs that has been since added that says or otherwise mentions something that I could have missed. Yeah, I don't see anything. Um, and we're not hitting any. If we look at like the network tab and I do a refresh, don't see any Tauri APIs that are throwing an error. So I've got 3 right now. I kill it, reload it. We'll see if those are still there. Those weren't the original ones that I put in there though, which is even more odd. And I'm wondering if it is just some artifact. See, all 4 of them came back. I'm wondering if it is some artifact of it being like incremental compilation type thing where you put things in there. Sometimes they end up getting deleted for dev, depending on target folder or something or other. I'm gonna see if I can delete it, see if I can get those to go away, and then we'll I guess we'll update next time and see if they stick around or not. After deleting the target folder, I still feel like there's something going on with that ID that's just not parsing correctly or something. But I think that's gonna be a next time thing. I'll delete the target directory and we'll re-roll it on. Come on, what is with my lighting today? The lighting outside is just like all over the place, and it's now I don't know. It was one of those days, I guess. Coming back off of vacation, nothing seemed to work quite right. Yeah, well the glow and then this I fixed this like twice. Well, twice before I started, and then I started and it had come back. I don't know if it's just we got some wild weather going on right now. I think it's probably part of it, and it's changing all the. It's gotten darker in here over the course of the stream, so I think that's part of it. Next week though, or well, I'll have to deal with it this week, but hopefully have dealt with it by next week. Fingers crossed. All right. Next week, I do want to I want to get into local first state and that whole like using SQLite, that whole thing, um, and this store plugin stuff. Touched on that a little bit. I don't know if we're going to start that next week, but it's definitely coming up, and I think it's definitely going to be a ongoing topic through the end of the year. So if that's something that you're interested in, um, be sure to do those YouTube things and press all the buttons. I I appreciate it, and it helps me know what topics are beneficial to folks or interesting to folks. Because I mean, local first stuff is interesting to me. And if y'all don't press the like buttons on the things you like, I'm just gonna keep going with local first stuff. But I mean, go ahead and do it anyways. Okay. Have a great rest of your week. Happy Tuesday. See you next time. Bye.